Good morning, everyone. It's your girl Goddess Intellect. Today's video is going to be about a serious topic. We've seen it swirling around in the news. I think ESPN anchor Stephen Smith made some comments about the recent Ray Rice domestic violence dispute. He believes that women should also take responsibility to making sure they don't provoke men to beat them. And today on the blog, right before this, I posted something on spousal abuse from our writer Sage. And so I feel compelled to talk about the topic of domestic violence and domestic abuse and share my own experience with it as well. I've shared my experience before. I was in an abusive relationship. It didn't last too long. Thank God, but I was categorized as somebody who was in an abusive relationship, and I also saw some element of physical abuse growing up when I was living with my mom before I was in foster care. I still remember that, even though I was a little girl, like very young, like under 6, I still remember some elements of that, and ended up carrying that into my adulthood when I got into an abusive relationship. So I'm very familiar with the topic. I also, it takes me back to the Chris Brown and Rihanna incident as well, because those are very public incidents, and we saw Rihanna's face. And I remember writing a post about women provoking men, and now this is years later, and we're having the same conversation again, and I just feel that yes, there are ways that anyone can provoke anyone to hit them in the face repeatedly. Of course, I can make you so angry that you will want to like choke me out. Everybody has the power to do that, man or woman. I think that's the wrong conversation to have, because when you read Sage's post, you'll see that that's the other side of it. Okay, provoking is something that's universal. That's not what women should do to not provoke someone. We all know how to not provoke somebody to hit us in the face. That's completely different from domestic violence and domestic abuse. I think as much as we're all focused on the physical element of it, it's more psychological than anything. I can tell you, when I was in the abusive relationship, it was a breakdown of my confidence and self-respect more than anything, because he played on the fact that I already felt bad about myself inside. So he just kind of enhanced that instead of enhancing the good things about me, which is what a partner should be doing. So it was that combined with the physical that made it an abusive relationship. But my concern and what the conversation I believe that we should be having is, how do we help the sisters who are in relationships who are embarrassed? They know it's wrong. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong. No one should hit me. I consciously knew that fact. But it was like inside of me that had to rise up from being in victim mode to being in, okay, this is not right. I do not deserve this. I felt like I deserved it at the time. And I know that other women in abusive relationships also feel like they deserve it. Whatever they're getting, like the hits, the punches, the slaps, everything, the nasty words being said about them, they literally believe that. That is their core belief. You know how we believe that we're destined for greatness? Well, they believe that they're destined to be hit in the face repeatedly. And then that is a sign of love. You can grow up in a regular, loving household where you did not see abuse and end up in a relationship like that. It's not always the case, but I want to make the point clear that it's not anything about provoking or anything like that forces someone to repeatedly hit you. It is not that. It goes a lot deeper. So the conversation that I would like everyone to have, and that I would like to see on the headlines, is how can we help these women who generally believe, because it's not that they physically cannot run away or get away from these men or fight back. It's that inside they believe that they are helpless and that they cannot share with their family, because they generally believe that they deserve to be exactly where they are. So the conversation I would like to have is, how can we as a society put more supports in place so that when these women are ready and brave and ready to go, or even if they're still in the throes of it, how can we support them so they have someone to talk to who is not going to place judgment, who is only going to empower them and help them to leave? And so when they leave these situations, there are support set up for the children, if there are children in the situation, for them to find shelter. Those are the conversations I would like to have instead of the provoking conversation. Because you know what? When I was in the abusive situation, it didn't even take much to get hit. It really didn't. So it's not an issue of provoking. It really isn't. That's the wrong conversation to have. We all know how to provoke someone and how not to provoke someone. I think that's like common sense. The conversation we should be having is, how do we help these women out of these situations and empower them to switch from victim mode to a victorious mode, so that they are able to leave and they'll be okay and they don't have that fear. Because I think that the biggest fear is, what do I do after I leave? I can leave. I know I can leave. It's not like the women in abusive relationships don't have a brain. They know that they can leave. They know there's a way out. There's a door. They know they can go through that door. But it's like, what happens after I leave? And I really think that's a conversation we should be having as a society. We're all very opinionated. And we all have amazing ideas. Let's switch the conversation. Let's start talking about how we can support these women. Because it's a very you feel helpless in the situation if you're from the outside and you're a loved one. I remember one time I had come home from a party with my cousin, and my boyfriend at the time got so mad, and his friend was in the room too, and he ended up hitting me in front of her, and she flipped out. And I don't think it really hit me how bad that was until I saw her reaction, because that was someone that was very close to me. And I began to see how isolated I was from everyone, and how me not sharing and speaking up about it and doing something was hurting everyone around me and not just me. So before it gets, and mine was a mild case. I would say mine was a mild case because it was very short-lived, and I got out and it actually stopped. But for the women who are repeatedly going through this, the psychological damage is a lot deeper. So I would love to hear at the bottom or in the comment section your suggestions on what women should do who are in these situations, who want to leave, but they are so fearful of what will happen after. If you have experience with, an abusive relationship and you want to leave your comments below, that would really help. I know that would help someone. So please, if you could leave any of your input, please do at the bottom. Let's switch up the conversation. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.